Hello, Eric.
How are you doing?
I'm just dandy. I'm living it up here in my Aunt Sadie robe,
I
and
noticed.
I'm pretending I'm part of that fabulous wardrobe department endeavor.
Yes. Well, it's nice to have you back. Last week, you were busy enjoying your birthday when we recorded. So, did you have a good birthday?
I did. I'm so I thank you so much for the lovely birthday post, Eric. That was
Oh,
so nice. And
wasn't
um
it? Written from the heart.
yeah, yeah. But it's great, Wow, another year around the sun or the yeah, isn't that what they say? Around the sun?
Right.
It was
I just
great.
realized, wait, so that makes you a Taurus, huh?
I am.
So you're the
And
same as my wife and daughter. Did we talk about that?
yes,
We
yeah,
did
we
talk about it.
did.
Yeah,
Offline, yeah.
gotta escape them.
You can't escape our stubbornness.
All right. What are we here to talk about today?
Well, wait, Eric, I didn't ask how you are. How are you? Are you maybe jetting off somewhere?
I am. As soon as we wrap up this recap, I will be hopping on a plane and heading to the East Coast to hang out with family for a week in Florida.
Oh my gosh.
So, you know what's so great about it too? Is I was trying to wrap up work. I got a nice little project right at the very end of the day that I've got to do when I land. So, woohoo,
No.
vacation, vacation.
Oh my God, but what happens when you land and you meet a lady detective and you guys find a buried treasure and chaos ensues?
I'll say, hold on. I have one project to do, and then we will get and solve this case.
Okay, sounds like a plan. Okay.
Okay, so today we are going to be discussing The Jane Mysteries Inheritance Lost, starring Jodie Sweetin, Stephen Huszar, and Paris Jefferson, who we talked to last week, and who was Aunt Sadie. And I'll tell you what she said the movie was going to be, I think it turned out to be. We'll get into talking about that in a second. The Jane Mysteries Inheritance Lost follows Jane De Silva, who inherits a foundation that now runs a detective agency. While investigating her first case, she discovers a company that exploited her client's mother, and she realizes that delving into the past can be dangerous. Are you scared?
I was so scared, especially when that brick flew right through the window just now.
Yes, the brick through the window. And it was so well wrapped and everything. So
And and how much do you think that magazine was that they took all those letters out of?
I think
14.99? Real
I
simple?
know. Actually, it's funny because I bought my wife People magazine for the flight and well, before the flight. And those
Hmm.
things are expensive now. Dang, I was
Yeah.
thinking it was like, $3 or something. No, man, they're like $8 or something. So
If maybe even more, sometimes they're double that.
yeah. So okay. So before we get going, what do we usually talk about?
Cocktails.
Cocktails. And for this one, I've concocted the Bohemian Rhapsody. I decided
Ooh.
with the raspberry beret from last week, I'm staying with this music genre here. So
Okay.
the great thing about the Bohemian Rhapsody, Sydney, is it's a drink for two. So you and I can share it.
Oh, yes.
Yes. And it's kind of fancy because I figured this was a fancy movie.
Okay.
So you go with 3 ounces of coconut rum, 1 ounce of pineapple juice, an ounce of triple sec, an ounce of freshly squeezed lime juice. If you want it cheap, go ahead and use the stuff from the bottle. But it's always better with the freshly squeezed. And get this, here's what makes it so special. You're going to do a half ounce of your favorite fruit forward red wine, like a Malbec, which
Mm.
is, my favorite red wine. So you're like, wait, how do you have wine with rum and triple sec and all this stuff? Let me get to that. So what you're going to do is you're going to take all the ingredients except for the wine, put it in the shaker, put lots of ice because this is a pretty tart combo. So what you want is that ice not only to chill it, but you want to dilute it just a little bit. Give it that good shake, get those arms tired. Then strain it into oh, you got good technique. Strain it into the martini glasses, half and half. I may take a little bit more than you because I'm selfish.
Rude.
But you want to strain it because you're going to have, a little bit of chunks of ice. You're going to have a little bit of pulpy stuff from the lime juice if you went fresh. And so you don't want to get any in that drink. So once again, you're trying to make this one look really pretty. So then you're going to take your red wine and you're going to pour it over a spoon, put it up right next to the edge, pour it very slowly, and it'll sort of drizzle in, and it creates a little layer of sort of that dark red on top of this otherwise light drink. So it looks pretty cool. And surprisingly, you wouldn't think it goes well, but it does. Got to trust me on this. So I say this weekend, you go ahead and you make yourself a Bohemian Rhapsody, and you'll be like, wow, that is fantastic. So if you're just by yourself, all you do is split everything in half. But you know what? Cocktails always enjoyed best when it's with two.
I'll have both in honor of you not being here.
Oh, so you're gonna have two. I have two hands, so I'm gonna have two drinks. Perfect. That's the way to roll.
Bohemian.
Okay. All right. We ready to talk about the movie?
I think so.
All right. So what did you like?
Oh my gosh. Well, I think right off the bat what I liked. I loved the wardrobe. Oh my gosh. Everyone looked so good and everyone looked so interesting. Like such a difference from what we normally see in the mysteries. The go-to Hallmark lady mystery outfit is the blouse with jeans, heels, and a blazer or a jacket. This was like full on color, full on drama. Give me all your floral jumpsuits, big belts. I didn't even know the big belt was back, but man, the big belt is, I guess, back with Jane.
Bring it.
And Aunt Sadie, I mean, I loved Aunt Sadie's style the most. Like that yellow dress when she first sees her and she's greeting her back from Paris. It's like, wow, that is a dress.
I'll say when
I
did talk to Paris, that's what she said. She's like, the costumes in this are just fantastic, and asked her about Aunt Sadie. She's like, she's a woman of the world, so she's collected these things from everywhere she's ever been, and she hinted that we were going to really like the style. So
I think
didn't lie.
They played that right. I mean, the costume department really made it look like she was a woman of the world. Like the way the pieces were put together on her was very like she's a well-traveled woman and a woman of means. And with Steven, like his shirts, like the way they'd roll him up on his bicep a bit,
or his lack of shirt.
Oh, well, that leading into the other thing I liked was we got a pool scene. We were just talking about Victor.
Yes, we were.
And it was like they heard us.
We haven't
really
seen
quick.
Yes, we haven't had a good pool scene in several years. What are we gonna do? Let's stick Steve in there. So how was were his shorts like Victor's, just the right size?
No, his shorts were not like Victor's, but I would say he's not Victor, so we'll give him a pass on that. Well, no, he's his own hunkiness. So
okay.
Yeah, but I still
is he a hunka or just a hunka?
Right now I'm gonna stick with hunka.
Okay.
Hunka's reserved for some, not all. But yeah, I think I'm gonna say, like, for me, those were the two elements that stuck out
right.
for me. I actually didn't, the only other thing I will say, I really kind of enjoyed her little ditty. Like I don't know I don't know the song. It's like history is
Right.
full of
Not
mysteries.
it. That's what I had. I had that, I liked the fact that it had the singing in it, and it wasn't
Yeah.
like they had Dream Moms on Hallmark Channel this week. And
Yeah.
I talked about it on over there in Hallmark Movie Review. And I said, if you like the Hallmark movies, it's a good fun movie, but it's not by any means, if you don't like the Hallmark movies, it's not going to convert you. But one of the things in that movie that kind of got me was like the choreographing in there was just like I pretty much could do those dances. And I know Chelsea Hobbs can dance, so I don't know what they were doing with it. But I will say the singing and the songs were just great. Like I was like, wow, Jodie Sweetin really can bring it. I was a little disappointed though because Paris said she can sing. I would have loved to see Aunt Sadie at the club as well, because we did get to see Steven playing the drums there. Now, whether or not he
Yeah.
can really play drums, I don't know. I'll give him the
Yeah.
benefit of the doubt.
Maybe if
So
he comes on the show, he can confirm it for us. Yeah.
we'll make him play the drums for us, do a solo.
Yeah.
Well before your time, but
That'd
we'll
be
have him
nice.
do Inagata Dovida, which is a song that took up a whole side of an album and has like a 10-minute drum solo in it. So
What
um,
is that from?
it's just Iron Butterfly was a band from the 60s, and
Oh,
Inagata
okay.
Davida was the song that was like a 30-minute song.
Iron
So
Butterfly. Hmm.
yeah. All right. There we go. We're going deep with the references, which I'll hop ahead in my notes a little bit, say another reference thing that I really liked. There was a nod to us Gen Xers because you may not know this, but Dwayne Wayne was a character from the Cosby Show spinoff, A Different World with Lisa Bonet and Kadeem Hardison. I think Hardison
Mm-hmm.
is his name. And that was his name. Kadeem's name in there was Dwayne Wayne. So when they were doing it, I couldn't tell, like, I giggled every time they said his name because I just went right back to that show from it was like late 80s, early 90s. But
Mm-hmm.
so total Gen X little thing, whether they intended to or not, I am giving them the credit and said they did.
Yeah.
The other thing I liked the premise of the story. We can talk about the execution and stuff a little bit later, but the whole thing of the inherited detective agency that's part of this foundation that focuses on cold cases. It was interesting. It was different. It makes, one of the things we talk about are, do these people have a reason to be solving crimes? And it does, whether or
Mm-hmm.
not now Jody coming in from the the cabarets of Paris, but they deal with that. But I just liked it. I thought it was kind of a little interesting twist, and so I found that really good. And then I did like all the characters. Like I thought they had a good story behind them. And I'll say especially Aunt Sadie. I'll think,
Mm-hmm.
or probably jumping ahead a little bit, but I would say for me, Aunt Sadie was sort of the hero of the movie. Well, I'll say, first of all, the fashion was number one hero.
What's the hero?
But then two was Aunt Sadie's character. I just found her, she was just so crazy. And that's where, and maybe I'm not being right, but I found her style what I considered it, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, because as our reel from this week said, I am not the fashion expert, but that's why
Oh,
I called it the Bohemian Rhapsody. I kind of found her like kind of bohemiesque. So,
yeah.
and a little bit of the world and a little bit of a traveler, a little bit of mix and matchy of just things. So,
I think that plays in nicely to the fact that they played in Paris clubs too. It gives a very Parisian feel to it, which I love. So,
and
yeah,
what
I
else was
agree.
fantastic?
Mm-hmm.
That Paris and Jody were exactly the same sizes because Jody was able to wear all her clothes just perfectly spectacularly.
Isn't
Isn't that a nice
that
coincidence?
just That's so convenient. By the way, do you think that Aunt Sadie, how long do you think she was laying there on the ground? Like just
You know what? What cracked me up about that? I totally had a flashback to Wedding Planner Mysteries, and I wanted her to
uh-huh.
wake up and ask for a like a drink of wine, or like just that I'm not
Yes.
51 or I'm not 50, I'm 39.
No.
Like
Since
like
yeah,
there. But
instead
yeah, I found that little like
yeah.
for some reason I couldn't stand that moment. I just went to Wedding Planner Mysteries uh with that.
It was very much yes. And instead she somehow right away regains consciousness to say, "You try climbing a ladder in these heels."
Well, excuse me, but that is a hazard that Sadie has to endure. It's probably not
Oh
the
my
first time
gosh.
she's been unconscious on the floor.
Probably not.
We'll have to wait until the next one to find out if it's a continuing thing. All right.
Mm,
So let's hop into the other side. Was there anything you
mm.
didn't like about the Jane mysteries?
So just to like maybe lean into you talking about execution. So yes, the premise is interesting. I did find the foundation a little bit like Illuminati-esque or something. It seemed like it was gonna be was John Wick gonna pop out or something? But I was a little bit
John
it
Wick.
almost yeah
I'm
it
sorry, but
almost
John Wick, it doesn't he have about like 18,000 body count? You know?
he's part of some weird little like
Right.
group, and it almost seemed like it was presented in such a way, and I found it to be underwhelming. Like the idea was interesting, but the execution was not. And I kind of had that thread throughout the movie. Like I, I just found the whole story was okay. Uh, the characters didn't really engage me. The mystery, I mean, Aunt Sadie did. I'm talking about like the other characters, the
Right.
side characters, the mystery itself didn't really send me. I'm not really invested in it like like I am some of the other ones we've seen. I didn't know necessarily who the person was that did the crime, but I guess I just kept thinking, how is this artist related? What's the bird deal? What's this and that? The journal. There just seemed like there were so many moving parts that they weren't interconnected, and I was kind of like, okay, I don't know. I feel like the mystery would have been I don't know. It didn't do it for me. But I could be being a little bit hard on it. It's the first one after the Cases of Mystery Lane, and we like loved that. It
Right.
almost got like perfect scores for us, and that's really not normal. So I don't know. One of the things I did find kind of interesting about this is so they mentioned in Mystery Lane how like the baster thing, how you had to be careful what you were saying because of the rating and stuff.
Oh, right.
But this might be the first time that I heard them mention suicide like that. So much. I don't remember
Well,
hearing people talk about suicide like that in
because well,
a
the in mystery though, the I forget what his name was. The guy supposedly had committed suicide, but
which one?
first murdered the guy who was murdered. Kevin's right. That was his name, Kevin, the attorney, the hot attorney. His secret
Oh
gay lover
yeah.
had
Okay.
supposedly killed himself.
Never mind
Now,
then.
Brent, but to your point, I will say they didn't like. I don't know if they really
I think they
delved on it,
alluded to it. I don't
but
know if they
they didn't
actually.
do it as too much of a mental healthy issue. Whereas I think they definitely did do it more here. You know, they talked about her emotional struggles and
Yeah.
things with it. So
And also like the beginning where she's she's like, okay, I'm gonna take on the foundation or whatever. And so much so that it seems like there's a little tiff between her and Steven
Right.
in the beginning. And then someone literally just happens to show up basically on her doorstep and is like, will you take a case? And I must have counted 10 times, said, I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know. But she said it one after another. And I was like, okay, everyone knows you don't know. Are you just going to take it or not? I'm probably being too hard on it, but it didn't send me like some of these others do. And I cringed so hard when I heard that the pyramid scheme was about crystals. I was like, oh my gosh. And I live
Hey,
so
I
close
live
to
down the street
LA.
from Sedona, so
Oh,
I
there
know
you
all
go.
about
Yeah.
crystals. In fact, my best friend's ex-wife used to be a channeler for the Spirit Hermes, and she would often go to Sedona to get crystals to help guide her with her channeling. So
That's interesting.
it is. She was an
Who's
interesting woman.
Hermes?
Yeah, she was an interesting woman.
But who's Hermes?
Isn't he like the uh, way to go? I don't know. He's the guy who channeled for her. So he's an old
I'm
Roman god.
sorry.
I can
But
look
he's
it
in the
up.
rock. He's in the
Jeez.
rock.
Yeah, that's all right. Now you're gonna make me do the old Google. Where's Chat GPT when you need it?
Just
Um,
help it make up a whole story about it.
I don't know who it is.
That's okay.
Ghosts associated with the Windsor Forest. Hermie the Hunter, I guess.
Okay, Hermie the Hunter.
Okay. Well, I agree with you. I thought it was the mystery was and it was just the whole thing was just it was uneven. Like I think they had some decent building blocks, and this is why we talk about how you need more than one mystery,
Yeah.
because I think it has definitely potential. And I guess maybe I found the characters a little more interesting than you, because I did have that in the thing I liked. Like I thought individually they all had like some pretty interesting stories. Um, now I'm talking about the three main characters.
Yeah.
But and even some of the side ones are okay. But I just found it a little too uneven, because it was just sort of a jump. And I kept having to be like, huh? Wait, woo, jumping around and trying to follow the
Yeah.
mystery. When she was like going all up, we're talking about Dwayne Wade and his crystals. Like it was him, it's him, it's him, it's him, it's him. And then all of a sudden he's like, wait, I don't know this woman. And she's like, oh, okay, not you. Like the guy could obviously be lying, right? But no, she didn't think that. And then immediately it just jumps to the real ones. And
Mm-hmm.
so I just found that like kind of an abrupt, it just didn't flow for me. It could have used a little bit
Mm-hmm.
better. But the other thing, it's like, I understand these are cold cases, but this particular cold case is like 15 years. And she's like asking him, do you remember her with a bird? Like, I don't remember what I had for lunch yesterday. So if she's talking about some bird 15 years ago, I don't think many people are going to be remembering those details. And,
That's
so I think
true.
they could have made it be like 5 years ago or something. Like 15 years is so wait, 223. So what's that, like 2007,
Mm.
right? Somewhere around there.
I don't know. I don't.
Math. Well, hey, you challenged me with who the hell Hermie was. So now I'm getting you with math. Yeah. So let's go 2007. It's like, do you remember what you were doing in 2007?
Yeah, I was graduating from high school.
Okay. So when you, I don't know what happened.
Eric, I have a good memory and I have a thing for people's faces and all that. You don't do that. You're
I
like
don't,
you're
I
like,
don't,
wait, that person was in that
yeah, I know,
movie.
but 15 years. So I just found whatever. And maybe that's me projecting myself where
No, I think a lot of men
I
are
don't remember
actually, I'm
things.
generalizing, but
So, But like I said, I agree with you. I just found it really interesting. So or excuse me, really uneven. So I just, but I do think it has a good premise. So I would like to see one more. And maybe you're right. Maybe what they did was try to be a little too much, to scale it back a little bit and
Too much too soon.
just, yeah, make it a little simpler and just go with it and let us get into the characters and, have just a decent mystery. It doesn't have to be too crazy, but let's really get into the characters. Because if Mystery 101 and Signed, Sealed, Delivered taught us anything, if you have characters that people like, they will follow you to the end of the world.
Yeah.
Right. So let's get to know those characters a little bit better.
It would have been kind of nice because it started out in Paris, and then like all of a sudden this guy's there and he's like, "Hey, I need to bring you home with me." And all of a
I don't
sudden you're
quite think
back.
that's what he said, but
Yeah, basically. Or that's what I thought he said to me. I don't
Mademoiselle, I
know.
need to bring you home.
And then yeah, and then she's back in
Right.
Baltimore and she's like barely off the plane, and here you go, now you have to, your uncle wanted you to do this, and it's just kind of like, why didn't she get to, I would have liked her to ease into stuff, meet the people a bit. Maybe there's a case that's closer to Auntie Sadie that she can like lean into.
No, I just thought of something. Well, number one, were you expecting it to be in Baltimore?
No, and that is
I,
not what
I
I
would think
think
in New
Baltimore
Orleans
looks
all
like.
the way.
Yeah.
But Baltimore, Baltimore, I think, you ever see The Wire?
Yes. And that
That's
is what I think of when I think of
right.
Baltimore.
Baltimore,
Yes. Or Good Morning. What's that one that John Waters did?
oh,
Good
Hairspray?
Morning Baltimore. Yes. I think
Well,
of that.
that's very different than The Wire.
It is, but also
But yeah.
not what we were looking at. You know what? It would have been great if it was in New Orleans.
Yeah, it
That
just
would have
seemed like
been,
the jazzy night, whatever thing. Just, I
yeah.
honestly didn't even cross my mind when we saw everything that it wasn't New Orleans. Maybe Baltimore has this great jazz scene. I don't know. The B note, by the way,
No.
I liked B note for a club. I thought that was kind of a cool name.
Yeah. It was cute.
But the other thing you just made me think about was, did they, and we don't know this answer obviously, but if they flew back together, they spent a long time together without him like telling her anything about what she was heading back to. So they must have had different flights. He must have been like, "Hey, you need to go home. I'll see you back. I got to catch a flight in 20
They
minutes."
didn't. He had her luggage and everything. They got in the
You're right.
car, and
Well,
yeah, they
so
weren't
yeah, so they
sitting
just sat
together.
next to each other. So see any movie, good movies lately,
She was pretty like standoffish with him, which I was kind of surprised. Like, if that hunky guy came and like, I mean, I'd be
He
a
wasn't
little
standoffish when she saw him
suspicious.
at the pool.
Oh my gosh, she was, well, first of all, that was a terrible wig, but she was she was surprised, I think, but not the reaction I would have had.
Okay. All right. So what'd you think of the quality of the mystery? I think I know this answer.
What's my number?
No, we're just supposed to talk about quality.
Oh.
You missed 1 week, and I have to remind you the whole format. We talk about the
What?
quality, then we do a body count, then we talk about the style, then we do our ranking.
Oh my God, Eric, it's Tuesday. Give me a break.
I said
um,
eh.
I said I also am like, no, this is no, not what I hoped for.
All right. The body count. I think it's just the one from 15 years ago, right? Was there no one else
No,
died?
there was the artist.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
Honey, don't ever forget your bodies.
All right. So we got two body count, dos. Okay. Two dead bodies, one ancient, one current.
No.
All right.
Yes.
All right. We talked about a little bit. the style, other than what we've talked about? Anything really stick out?
I think that they did a good job with the scenery. That estate that, Aunt Sadie lives at seemed really interesting. I don't even know, like it seemed like it was filmed in a state with the fancy bookcase and the, big room where the brick goes through the window. It's in the big entryway where she greets her.
Is that what your closet looks like?
Oh, I wish. Oh my gosh. You know what? That I would love to hear from that costume designer, because I bet she had such a field day with these people. That that was really interesting. And finding all of those clothes and accessories to stick in that closet. Wow.
Maybe it was like Nicole said, she just went and had her assistant bring her own clothes in. Like, remember how Nicole said uh, that
Yeah.
Nikki's coat was just her assistant's coat. So maybe all those gowns
Yeah.
were her assistants.
Wow, what does she do? Like on the side? Does she sing in
That's
a
just her
jazz band?
normal wear when she goes like to Target and stuff.
Okay, I should probably step up my game.
No, I don't know. Your Sadie robe is fantastic. I'm giving
Thanks.
it
It's from
I'm
San Francisco.
giving it 2 thumbs up. It's very nice, very fancy. Yeah, as I said
Thank
earlier,
you.
the style in this was just is definitely the hero. Now, what would have been
Hmm.
cool though? I think
Hmm.
based on Aunt Sadie, I think she should have had like some 1950s cool convertible car that Jody like borrowed, or I should say Jane, that Jane borrowed to drive around, because that really would have gone with, I think, the whole character and everything. Just,
Hmm.
some like, I don't know, teal and white car with big
Yeah,
tail
Corvette.
fins or something like that. Or yeah, or like an old
Yeah.
Corvette, like old Corvette, kind of something like that, I think would have been like really cool and added to the movie.
And then she would have had the scarf around her
Yes.
head with the sunglasses. There we go. We're back to wedding mysteries.
Which I loved that scene. I thought she looked adorable there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And it
I'm
wasn't
just distracted
snowing.
thinking about how damn cute Erica Durance was in that entire movie. She's a cutie.
Well, instead she was driving around something that we would have had in high school.
Yes. So anything else stick out for you for the
For
style?
style,
Were there were there
just
were
the
there I didn't notice her lamps in her house.
I
I'm
mean, it
sure they were
definitely had a
flickering.
dusty, antique feel, like the whole thing. Like not dusty in a bad way, but like, it's was very regal and interesting,
Yeah,
I would say.
I'd say too.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, since you're so anxious, now we can get into the rankings.
Now.
All right. See, what we're trying to do is people don't understand that we're so elevated. What we're trying to do is just for all of our listeners, convey the unevenness of the movie with a really uneven podcast. So
Yeah.
this is all planned. This isn't by mistake. We were planning for it to be a certain level of confusion as we go through this. So,
Okay.
okay. The
This is
steam
good.
meter. How
You know what,
steamy
Eric?
were Jane and what was his name? Connor?
Steven?
Detective Connor? Was that his first name or last name?
I don't know. Oh my gosh.
Let
He
me
was, he wasn't in it
John
as much
Connor
as I
or
would have
Cameron.
liked.
John Cameron.
John Cameron. Okay. Ooh, nice name. Okay. I gave it an 8 because I thought they got pretty dang steamy there at the end. I thought they started, I almost thought he was gonna kiss her while they were dancing. Thought, wow, these tides changed pretty quick. And I want to say it was after he got out of the pool. But
That'll do it to you.
but she was like, oh, and then he saved her basically in the end. Well, he didn't save her, but he kind of saved
Right.
her showing up in the end. And I think it just changed really quick. And I really thought they were going to kiss almost, but They
Oh,
didn't.
I guess I missed out on all the steam. I'll say that yes, the pool scene was like a 10 because her eyes were like literally cartoon popping out, boing out of her head in that scene. But other than that,
Mine too.
I guess towards the end, I still just found them sort of, I don't know.
Oh, come on. They
I
were
give it a
dancing
4. I give it a
so
4. And oh, hey,
close.
wait. Here you're talking about so steamy. Their dance was like 6th grade dance, school dance
They
thing,
were
because
so
they're sitting there, they're
close.
they're right next to each other, and all they're doing is just like leaning left, right, left, right.
I,
They didn't even like. There's no
okay.
surround. It was
Don't
just
don't get ahead of yourself, dancing detective tango. Okay.
yes.
We're
There.
talking
I
we're
I
talking jazz
actually
club here.
I actually really like Stephen Hussar. I thought like Ruby Herring Mysteries. I thought he was so good in that. That's one I've talked about before that I like a lot
Yeah.
more than most people. But he was so good in that movie. And but yeah, so I'm not knocking him, but that dance scene kind of summed it up. They're just swaying left and right. It's like exact no. Actually,
Okay.
I get made fun of because when I went to my 6th grade dance, I didn't know how to dance, so I was doing jumping jacks with Sherry Call, and to this day,
What?
I cringe.
I cringe for you.
Yeah, I'm sure she's probably telling the story right now to her kids, like, you should be so glad I didn't marry the kid who took me to my 6th grade dance and married your father instead.
You know
Okay.
what? Who knows? Maybe he does jumping jacks too.
Yeah,
You
but he's
never
like
know.
he's doing to stay in shape or some cardiovascular reason. All right.
Oh, okay.
Um, so well before your time too, as I'm doing the Inagata do Vida, I'm pulling out all the 1970s music. But David Soul, and I don't remember the song, but I remember he was the big song of that 6th grade dance. So
Wow.
so any listener who's going, who's once again of the Gen X, maybe even baby boomer, they'll remember. Um,
Oh,
it was a pretty
okay.
popular song.
Well, shout out to Casey and JoJo, who were my 6th grade slow dance
Oh,
jam.
wait, you had 2?
That was
Wow.
that was the brothers. Or I don't know if they were brothers, but they sang some real bops in
Oh,
the
they were
early
singing,
Y2K
singing. I
era.
thought they were I thought you
Casey
were talking about the
and
being your
JoJo.
date.
No, no.
Okay. All right. All right. We're really digressing here. Okay. The story. Where would you rank the story?
I gave it a 5.
I gave it a 5 as well. Too uneven.
Yeah.
The mystery.
I gave that a 5.
I gave it a 5 as well. The acting.
Wow.
I told you I did.
Um I know we're coming up even here.
Other than that steaminess,
Yeah, I know. Acting I gave a 7.
I gave it a 7.
Wow.
Yeah, weird. Wait, did you like open up the Google Doc and are looking at mine by accident?
I don't did you post on Google?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't look.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right. So all right. So other than steam meter, we're still there. 7. Okay. And I said especially I thought Paris Hilton, Paris Jefferson. Like I said, she nailed that character. Just nailed it. And the funny thing is after after I talked to her and we're talking about accents, and I was asking, about doing the American accent, I was fixated on her accent and I thought she nailed it. She was perfect. I sent her a little
She
message
did.
and I said, I didn't have a hint of Australian in your accent. So,
No.
but, and then it was funny after that, I was telling that story to my daughter and wife when we were going out to dinner, and they just were like, "What the hell was she doing asking you how to pronounce anything?" And we got into a whole thing. How do you say tour? Do you say tour or tour?
I say tour. I'm going to tour the Eiffel Tower.
So you do like the single syllable.
Tour.
Yeah, I'm
Tour.
tour. So
You add an ER at the end or something?
tour. So yeah, so that's why I told Paris she should not listen to me. But I don't know. I think it's
Well,
I think
wait,
it may be a
yeah, where are
Michigan
you
thing
from? Yeah, there you
because
go.
my daughter's boyfriend's from Michigan and he said it that way too. My wife's from Pittsburgh and she's like tour
Oh
versus
my
tour.
gosh. Well,
So
ask the East Coast people how they say root.
root,
My mom calls it rut. She
like a
goes,
root, like a
well,
tree root.
she's like, I need to get these ruts out of the ground. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Is she like from the South?
No, she's from
Then
Massachusetts.
wow, rut. I don't know.
I think it's potato, man. I don't know.
Okay. All right. Where are we? Style.
Well, I gave style a 10.
I gave it a 10 too. So we're
That was
exactly the
pretty good,
same, other than
except for
you
Steve.
thought they brought the heat on a little bit more at the end than I did.
I sure
So
did, yeah.
other than that, so what you must be a 35 then for your
I'm a
score.
35.
And I'm a 31, so that makes a 66. Okay, so my final thing is, like I said before, I would just say let's make Hallmark commit, unless they purposely say this is a one-off. Let's make them all do at least 3. Picture
I think
Perfect is a
so.
great example, a trilogy. You can do it there. You can tell the whole story. You can build the characters, and then you can sign out. You can feel complete, or you can move on. I think you need to see another one. Kind of like, we talked when we our very first one, when we did family history, mystery, family
Buried past.
buried past. Yes. That was one where we said too, we need a little bit more. I think that one we're a little bit more positive, but this one I do think we need another. That's my take. What about you?
I definitely agree. I think 3 should always be the at least amount. Like we should at least be having 3, because we cannot get to know I really wish they would have developed more of the character before into the mystery, or the
Right.
mystery could have been something related to the family. I just didn't like that it was just like wham bam, here you go, you hit the floor running, and we're supposed to know all this stuff,
Yeah.
and where you went, and it just, you need time to let things settle.
100% agree. Let build those characters. If you build it, they will come. So,
Yeah.
okay. Well, next week, well, tomorrow actually, from when we air this, we have Carrot Cake Murder, Hannah Swenson. I'm
Oh my
excited.
gosh, I
I'm
can't believe it. Did you
really
see my
excited.
post today about the coffee orders?
I did. I
Did
did.
you see Dolores? She gets crazy if you don't give her that coffee.
Yes. Uh, the coffee.
Ooh, we need to
Um,
grab a shovel, man.
I liked your style you did though over the weekend too for her.
Oh no, what did I no, that was Mother's Day.
Wasn't that I thought you did Hannah on
I did
Saturday.
on Saturday. I did oh yeah, but I was talking about Dolores.
I know. I was saying I liked what you did for Hannah on Saturday.
Oh,
I was I'm
I thought
trying to
you said I
compliment
like what
you.
you did for her. Okay, I'm sorry, Eric.
Oh,
Eric, I liked what you did this morning. I almost forgot that Kimberly Suss dad had been in a mystery.
no, she's been in several. She
I
was
totally
well, the thing is she was also the killer in a so someone had mentioned it about a oh crap, what's the old one that she was in? Um
morning show mysteries.
she's that's the one because I did the image, but she was in oh darn, it wasn't oh, Emma Fielding. She was a murder in Emma Fielding as well. And
Okay.
then
Oh yeah, she was in love
she
with
was in
that
the
guy.
she was in the Gourmet Detective. She was a suspect. She wasn't a killer, and she has great hair. I'm going to be featuring that hair. Her birthday is, I believe, next week, so I am going to be featuring
Ooh.
that hair when we do our birthday post for her.
Oh my gosh,
But
she a Taurus too?
I thought you were going to say that you enjoyed the Cameron Matheson Playgirl. the,
Oh my God. I was like, what? When I
I
saw
was
there was a carousel, I was like,
so
whoop.
glad I was able to find the picture so people would know I was not just making that up.
Oh
Now,
my
granted,
God,
it's not
did
like I
you?
had it laying around. I'm like, oh yeah, Cameron Matheson. I obviously do some research to come up with some facts, and when I saw that, I was like, oh, too good to pass up.
Some ladies were really, wow,
I think some were also a little too steamy. But
Whew,
I don't think he
it
was.
is.
I don't think he was actually like in it. I think it was like kind of an interview just with him. So he wasn't. He wasn't all
The
natural.
centerfold?
Yeah.
Okay.
So okay. So yeah. So I'm really excited. I um I think this is going to be a good one. And it's funny that people are complaining that they don't get to continue them, and then they go ahead and then they badmouth this one where it's a continuation. So what do can't
Oh,
win, I
did
guess.
someone say something negative about
Well,
this one?
they just complain about murder. Like I don't like Murder She Baked, and yes, Murder She Baked did change its name to Hannah Swenson. We talked about it. They had to do it for legal reasons and things like that. But it's the same story. It's continuing on, same
Yeah,
characters, the same plots going there. So we get to continue with the exception of the one sister who I don't know if she comes back
I
or not,
know.
which we will
I
find
only
out.
saw that other sister in the promo,
Um,
so I
okay.
am kind of bummed about that. But I'm holding out hope. If they made this one, maybe she'll be back for the next one.
Well, we will have seen it already, so I won't be a thing. I am doing for the Who Would You Rather? Are you going to be Detective Mike or Norman? Because there are people who still
I
want her with Norman, and
kind of like Norman.
maybe he'll come crash the wedding and, you know, in the books,
Maybe.
she's a total hussy who is not all committed to him, so I'll say maybe she will.
Well, we know these books are not like
No.
the movies.
No, like I say, I read this book, I read Carrot Cake Murder, and then I've seen the promos, and I can't find anything that ties it together. And with grilling season, there was at least that little scene, the one couple pages, I mean, couple pages, there was a page in the book that was about an exploding grill. Whereas this one, after we watch it, I'll see what makes sense. But what's
Is there any
interesting?
carrot cake? Oh, sorry.
There is carrot cake, and I do. We will be sharing the carrot cake recipe on our Hannah Swenson's carrot cake recipe on our website at hallmarkmysteriesandmore.com. I am getting ready to post that tomorrow. But
Yummy.
here's the interesting thing: in the book, at the very end, she's heading home and she gets a call. So in the book, she's kind of still in at this point dangling between Norman and Detective Mike, and she's definitely more Norman. Detective Mike and her, she just thinks he's kind of, at least this is how I take it. She just thinks he's like hot and stuff like that, but where she's got definitely more
Uh-huh.
of a connection with Norman. But like we're at the very end, she's heading home and she gets a call from another dude saying, "Hey, I'm at the airport for like a long layover. Come on and see me." And Hannah does a U-turn and heads to the airport for a
Wow.
third guy. So maybe in Carrot Cake that we'll get introduced to a whatever, some Tyler Hines is coming in to swoon her away.
Oh man. I don't know if the Heinies can take that.
No, that he's not a good match anyhow. I don't know who would be a who would be
Victor.
Vic. Yeah, well, yeah, because
Let's
obviously
bring Victor
you
back.
got the Victor chemistry, and he's got the yeah. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
We've been all over the place today, so um, kind of like I said, it was so well thought out. It was scripted just to really give you a feel for what the Jane Mysteries was like. So,
Yeah.
all right. because you enjoyed it so much, all I'm going to ask is please, if you like what you hear, please recommend us to a friend. Help us grow the channel so more people can hear about mysteries. If there's anything you would like to hear, you can always shoot us a message. Where can they shoot us a message, Sydney?
Yeah, DM us over on Instagram at Hallmark Mysteries and More, where we share super fun content like sleuther styles and inspired coffee orders and trivia and lots of other fun stuff. Give us a follow.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. And our reels have been taken off. We have a couple fun ones that happened this week. So there we go. All right. All right, Sydney. Well, it was fun. It was something. It was fun.
It was something and it was fun. And Eric, don't forget to pack your beret.
So, well, it's funny going back to I thought about that, by the way, actually, but going back to the thing is my wife was packed yesterday and I was packing and I have to finish when I hit stop, I have to go finish packing and our flight is, I have 40 minutes and I have to,
my gosh.
finish. So,
okay, you have to go.
So yeah, we are definitely, like I said, I am not your packing style. I do not have my packing slip. So
I would
all right.
have so much anxiety.
I will be talking to you after carrot cake. Goodbye.
Okay, sounds good. Au revoir.
Au revoir.